Everybody, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Uh, Betty has been in the program, I think, 19 years, 20 years. I should know that. And she's somebody that's a good example of how it's done. She has a good recovery, and she's also a very compassionate, caring person. She's helped many people in the program, and she's in my mind a wonderful person. Betty, it's all you.
Thank you, Rick. I'm going to start my timer here. I'm Betty, compulsive eater, and yes, I'm actually coming up on 20 years in the program. In the end of May, my abstinence is, I was trying to get my app to tell me how many days, but it's 9.84 years. May 23rd, God willing, one day at a time, I'll celebrate 10 years of abstinence. So obviously my time in this program is not perfect, but I like the progress, not perfection. And I came in the rooms at 311 pounds, and I've given away about 130 pounds at this point. I've always been a compulsive eater. My notes in front of me so I can see them. Always been a compulsive overeater. My dad used to joke when I was a baby, he used to call me gobbledygook because I would just eat compulsively, even as a tiny little baby. I don't remember ever having a time in my life where food wasn't important. Everything we did surrounded by food was food, and my family is that way. I found recovery, and I'm very grateful for that. Just to give you a little idea about my disordered eating background, when I was in elementary school, I can remember we always got treats after lunch, and my mother gave me the right amount of money. It was a quarter. Well, one time she didn't have the quarter, she gave me $1. So I went and I got 4 treats. And my uncle was the gym teacher, and he monitored our lunch. And he looked at me with the 4 treats, and he goes, Betty, why do you have 4? I said, Mom gave me $1. And he goes, well, she meant for you to bring home the change. And I was like, no idea that was what I was supposed to do. So he took the 3 other extra ones and returned them and gave me the money to take home. But it never crossed my mind that I wasn't supposed to get all I could get all the time. My eating disorder escalated through my young adulthood and being married, home with young kids. All I ever wanted to be was a stay-at-home mom, and I was not good at it. So this, right now, is very hard for me. It escalated into my 30s after the birth of my second child, and at the same time, my sister was pregnant, and her baby died about a week before the due date. Tied a knot in the umbilical cord, and died about a week before I was at the doctor's appointment. We had been out together. She was home. We were shopping and stopped at the doctor for what we thought was going to be a routine visit, and they couldn't find a heartbeat. The baby had died. I had what I can only describe as survivor guilt. My baby lived, hers didn't. So she went on to have another child right away, and I was taking care of Johnny, and I had to make that baby perfect. Her life had to be, I mean, literally, she walked in the door. First day I was taking care of Johnny, he was 7 weeks old, and she goes, here, fix him. I don't know what to do. And I had to make everybody's life perfect. And of course, that led to me being a people pleaser, led to conflicts in relationships, because you can't make this person happy and that person happy all at the same time. So I had a lot of broken relationships. I have what I call a broken coper. I don't know how to cope. So the only thing I could do was eat. I ate for everything. I turned to food to cope with everything in my relationships, whether it was good, whether it was bad. I can remember remember the first time I had no kids in my house. I went to the store and I ate. I ate while I was doing everything. I ate when I came home. I had food in my car to drive home with, food to eat while I was cooking, to bake the food, everything. And those behaviors got to me to 311 pounds when I walked into the rooms in May of 2000. At that point, I was gaining anywhere between 8 to 12 pounds a month. I was sick most of the time, so I was at the doctor's office a lot. I had thrown away my scale. I have a picture that's in one of my books that I'm sitting at my computer and crying. I saw the outfit that I had on that day. My daughter had one of those little Fisher Price cameras, and I got a picture because I knew there was food. We had a little guy in the frozen food truck drove around my house, and I could just order right there at my door. And so I had a lot of amends to make to my children because of how, that was their young formative years, and everything I did with them was food related. But through the grace of God, I found OA in May of 2000. I was big into doing things online. You click different things, you get points, you get gift cards. And one of the ones was on mental health that I clicked on every single day. And one day I clicked on it, and it talked about eating disorders. And it said anorexia, bulimia, and a word I'd never seen before, and that was compulsive. I was like, what is that? And I started clicking and reading, and I'm a researcher. And I saw and read about what a compulsive overeater was, and it led me to OA and Overeaters Anonymous. I looked online, I actually ordered books, and I actually kind of got some abstinence before I went to a meeting. It was a very much a white knuckle abstinence, but I was praying and getting some intervention from a higher power. Got some literature from Amazon and was reading, and I found a meeting. And this is where I find people who have the courage to make a phone call about a meeting. I give them so much credit because I didn't. And I went to where this meeting was. I went into a church, and there was a group of people meeting. And this is how much no self-esteem I had, is I went into that room, and there's people meeting, and I said, I'm looking for Overeaters Anonymous, and they said it wasn't there. I went out to my car and cried because I thought it was there, and they didn't want it. So I went home, devastated, and thank God there was another meeting the next day. And I called, found out where the meeting was, and I got back up on the horse, and I went to that first meeting. And I found a wonderful group of people, and you hear me talk about my meeting in New Jersey all the time. And I was so codependent that day. I went to the meeting, somebody said, you need a sponsor? Call me tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So I did. I called that person the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she became my sponsor. She told, we worked out a food plan, and I started that food plan right away. And that saved me. It was hard. It wasn't easy. But I started losing weight. I didn't walk in those rooms thinking I was going to lose weight. Never occurred to me that the volume of food was what was getting, I knew I couldn't stop eating. And I just wanted to stop eating. Never occurred to me that I might possibly lose weight. So, I just started with the food plan. I started doing the food plan. I started using the tools. It was recommended I make 3 calls other than my sponsor. We had a We Care list. I literally took the We Care list. It was on paper. I started at the top, 3 check marks. I left messages if I had to. People called me back. I started to fit in, and that was the only place I really felt like I fit in. I felt a part of instead of a part from. I made drastic changes in my life. I quit everything. I was involved in tons of stuff. I quit everything. My town was, you see that my background, that's the town square. And everybody walked everywhere, and the moms always gossiped. I removed myself from that because I learned that was not a healthy way of life. I lost weight. It took me about 23 months, and I got down to my goal weight, and that's where my hard work started. And that's when I really started working the steps in earnest, because when I was losing weight, it was all good. It was like, wow, Betty, you look so great, blah, 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 And then there was lots of attention, and I want to say it was easy. It was exciting. And then I got down to my goal weight, and life changed a lot, because I'd never been in a healthy body weight at the right time in my life. So I had to learn how to live that way. And that's where the steps really came into play. I had to mend relationships. So I had to work on myself. I had to learn how to be an adult. I had to learn how to adult. I had to learn how to live in the body I had. because I'd always been losing weight or gaining weight. So I had to learn how to live in that body, and the steps and the traditions helped me. So really studying those and finding where I fit in the world um, was hard. And that's why I think, I lost my abstinence. I was in the rooms for almost 20 years. I've only got almost 10 years of abstinence. I had to really figure out my higher power, how to work with that. It coincided with a drastic move to Tennessee, from New Jersey to Tennessee. Issues that came in with that, came with a lot of therapy, and going to a professional to help me work those things out. I work the tools a lot. I was asked to talk about literature that I use. I find the For Today and the Voices of Recovery, I think, the most helpful. Lifeline, things I can read quickly. I keep literature a lot of places. I used to keep lifelines in my car, especially when I had kids and I was running them around all the time, because I was in my car all the time. So if I was parked someplace, I could pick it up. Now that I have, we have Kindles on our phones, I have things at my fingertips all the time, that if I have a lull, I can pick that up. Those are the ones I think I find, most helpful. I try to read something every day. I have other daily readers that I find helpful. But I think Voices of Recovery and For Today always kind of speak to me. I always find something. I also like that they have the topics in the back. So if there's something that I'm struggling with, I'll go to the back. If I'm feeling anxious, I'll look up anxiety. If I feel, if the scale is bothering me, I'll look up, I think there's one, I forgot what the topic, if it was the scale or weight loss or something like that. I know my sponsor had me read every single one of those and talk about those. I'll jot the dates down if I find one specifically helpful. But those are the ones. But even in all the times I struggled, I never stopped going to meetings. When I can't, even, I had, you all know I was sick. I had the twins, custody of the twins. I always tried to get to meetings. People in the rooms have been so generous and called me and let me listen in, let me share through the phone. When I was working in New Jersey, worked nights, which was very hard for me. And I had people who were willing to take my phone call at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night to talk to me on my 45-minute commute home. I actually even had a friend whose husband talked to me because he knew that I was calling, and she happened to be not feeling well that night and go to bed early. And she told her husband, "You need to talk to Betty, because that's an important commitment I make." And he knew the program was important. And he talked to me my 45-minute commute home. But that's the kind of relationships that have gotten me through 20 years of this program. It's working the tools, working the steps. The 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th steps, doing those, as scary as they seemed in the beginning of this program, were vitally important to the turn I made in my recovery, is getting through these, getting through that part. The perfection, never knew I was a perfectionist, because I'm a perfectionist who, if I can't do it right, I don't do it at all. I stopped and started my 4th step a million times. It took me making an appointment to do my 5th step and feeling comfortable with who I made that appointment with to push me through doing my 4th step. Right now, I am very comfortable in where I am. I think that's what's helping me get through what's going on in our world right now. Being in this social distancing world we're in right now, and doing it without food, and not needing food. There's a lot of food in my house right now, but I'm not overeating it. I'm not hoarding it. I'm not feeling like I have to have it here for comfort. I'm doing it one day at a time, but I know that in order to do it one day at a time, I also have to be prepared. I have to take care of myself, which means I have to take into account but I have to think forward. I know I'm working my tools more. I'm making phone calls. I'm doing meditation. I'm glad that my higher power nudged me about 4 months ago to say, I need to work on step 11 more. I need to think about meditation more. So I got that tool that I'm far from perfect at, but it's something I am doing better at. So I spend time in meditation daily now, where I wasn't before. I've got a sponsor who's helping me through that now. So I'm using those tools more now. I'm going to more meetings now. Thank goodness for Zoom that we're able to do that. Grateful for the people who have stepped up and are sharing their knowledge of Zoom so we can do this. So I'm grateful, and I'm so grateful that I have this program that has taught me how to see the gratitude in everything, whether it's pandemic and what I have, and that I can share that with other people. Thank you for letting me share, and I'm grateful for all of you being here today.